Nothing. That is what he called her. In front of 600 people, 7 years of marriage reduced to one cruel word. Charlotte had given him everything, her 20s, her career, her dreams. She had rescheduled presentations for his dinner parties, swallowed migraines to smile at his colleagues, built his company while her own ambitions gathered dust, and he called her nothing. But here is what Derek Ashford did not know. Someone had been watching, someone who remembered a blue dress from 3 years ago, someone who had spent all that time thinking about the brilliant questions she asked while her husband talked over her. A billionaire who was about to prove to everyone in that ballroom exactly how wrong Derek was. This is the story of a woman who believed she was nothing, until a man who had been waiting 3 years stood up in front of 600 people and declared she was everything, the woman he waited for. What happened next destroyed Derek's world and rebuilt Charlotte's. And if you have ever felt invisible, if you have ever been called nothing, if you have ever wondered if it is too late to start over, you need to hear how this ends. Stay with me, because this story gets so much better. The crystal chandelier caught the light as Charlotte Bennett stepped into the grand ballroom. Her black dress was simple, elegant, the kind that whispered rather than shouted. She had learned that lesson the hard way. The marble floor gleamed beneath her heels. Each step echoed. The sound mixed with champagne glasses clinking, laughter floating through expensive air. The orchestra played something classical, something she should have recognized but did not. "Charlie," Rachel grabbed her elbow. "You look incredible. Remember, we are here for the Children's Literacy Foundation." "Not for him." "Not for him," Charlie repeated. "I know." But she had seen Derek the moment she walked in. Hard not to. He commanded attention the way he always had. Tall, confident, his hand possessive on the waist of a blonde woman young enough to be his daughter. No, she would not think about Victoria. Rachel steered her toward the bar. The bartender smiled. Professional, practiced. "White wine, please," Charlie said. "Make it 2, Rachel added. The wine was cold, crisp. Charlie took a sip, then another. The alcohol warmed her chest, did nothing for the ice in her stomach. "You are doing great," Rachel whispered. Charlie nodded. She did not feel great. She felt like an actress playing the role of someone who had moved on. Someone who did not care that her ex-husband was here with his new fiancée. Someone who did not still wake up at 3 in the morning, wondering what she had done wrong. The evening progressed. Small talk, polite laughter, the art of being present while feeling completely hollow. She had gotten good at this. 6 months of practice. 6 months since the divorce papers were finalized. 6 months of rebuilding. She talked to donors, board members, people who knew Derek, people who knew her as Derek's ex-wife, not Charlotte Bennett, marketing executive, just Derek's ex. Then she heard it. Derek's voice carried across the marble floor. That particular timbre, the one he used when he wanted everyone to hear, but pretended he did not. "My ex?" He laughed. The sound grated against her spine. "She was nothing, a placeholder until I figured out what I really wanted." The room did not stop. The orchestra kept playing. Conversations continued around her. But Charlie's world tilted sideways. Nothing. The word echoed in her head, bounced off the walls of her skull, settled in her chest like lead. 7 years of marriage, of building his company while he climbed, of dinner parties where she played the perfect hostess, of swallowing her own ambitions so his could soar, of being everything he needed her to be. Nothing. Rachel's hand found hers, squeezed tight. Do not listen to him. But how could she not? The words had already landed, already burrowed under her skin. Her phone buzzed in her clutch. Once, twice, 3 times. She pulled it out. Lock screen, unlock, lock again, unlock, lock. The group chat with Rachel and her mother lit up with messages. "You are stronger than you know," her mother had written. "He does not deserve your tears," Rachel had typed before finding her in person. "Breathe, sweetheart. Just breathe." Charlie did not feel strong. She felt like something scraped off the bottom of an expensive shoe, something Derek had stepped in and was now publicly wiping away. "I am not nothing," she whispered to her reflection in a nearby window. The glass showed her face, pale, composed, a mask she had learned to wear. The words felt like a lie, but she said them anyway. That was when she felt it, the weight of someone's gaze. Not intrusive, not uncomfortable, just there, steady. Like an anchor in a storm she had not realized she was drowning in. She turned, met the eyes of a man she did not recognize. Distinguished, maybe early 40s, salt and pepper hair, strong jaw, the kind of face that suggested he had lived through interesting things and come out wiser for it. He stood near the auction table, alone, a glass of what looked like scotch in his hand. He raised it slightly, not flirtatious, acknowledging, as if he had heard Derek's words too, as if he disagreed. Then Derek's voice again, louder this time, making sure she heard. Finally upgraded to someone who understands ambition. Victoria giggled. The sound was young, carefree, everything Charlie had not been in years. The stranger's expression shifted. Something sharp flickered behind his polite smile. His jaw tightened. He set down his glass with deliberate care. Then he walked away, disappeared into the crowd. And Charlie felt the loss of his gaze like another small wound in a year full of them. "Come on," Rachel said. "Let's get some air." But Charlie shook her head. "No, I am not running, not anymore." She straightened her shoulders, lifted her chin, walked back into the crowd of people who had heard Derek call her nothing. And she smiled, talked, laughed at appropriate moments. She performed being fine, being over it, being strong, even though inside she was still that woman sitting in her parked car at 2 in the morning, engine off, keys in hand, unable to go inside to face the emptiness of her new life. The gala continued around her, a blur of faces and voices. The foundation director made announcements, thanked donors, introduced board members. Derek stood when his name was called, waved, accepted applause like a king accepting tribute. Charlie clapped too, because that was what you did. You applauded, you smiled. You pretended the man who had called you nothing deserved recognition for his $5,000 donation. The donation she knew came from the company they had built together. The company that was now only his, because she had signed it away in the divorce. Too tired to fight, too broken to care. An hour passed, then another. The auction began. Charlie bid on a spa package she did not want, lost it to someone else, was grateful. "I need the bathroom," she told Rachel. "Want me to come?" "No, I am fine." Another lie, but Rachel let her go. The bathroom was a sanctuary, all white marble and gold fixtures, the kind of luxury that once impressed her. Now it just felt cold, empty, like everything else in her life. Charlie stood at the sink, turned on the cold water, let it run over her wrists, an old trick her mother had taught her, count to 10. Breathe, lower your heart rate, calm the panic. 1, 2, 3. The water was freezing. It bit into her skin, grounded her. 4, 5, 6. She looked at herself in the mirror. The same routine from every panic attack during the divorce. When the lawyers talked about asset division, and she realized Derek had been moving money for months. When she signed her name and watched 7 years reduced to paperwork. When she moved into her new apartment and realized how much space one person did not need. 7, 8, 9. Her hands shook as she reached for her lipstick, the same shade she always wore, red, bold, armor disguised as makeup. 10. She reapplied it, even though her hand trembled, even though the color felt like a lie, like she was painting over cracks in a wall that was already crumbling. This was supposed to be over. She was supposed to be over it. 6 months was enough time, wasn't it? Enough time to stop caring what Derek said, what Derek thought, what Derek told 600 people about the 7 years she gave him. The bathroom door opened. Rachel appeared in the mirror behind her. "I heard what he said." "Everyone heard what he said." Charlie's voice cracked. "That was the point. He is trying to hurt you." He succeeded. Charlie capped the lipstick, dropped it back in her clutch. He always succeeds at everything except being a decent human being. Rachel moved closer, put a hand on Charlie's shoulder. Warm, real, the only solid thing in a room that felt like it was spinning. "You know what? Good. Let it hurt. Let it fuel you." Rachel's reflection met hers. That man out there? The one who could not stop looking at you? I do not know what you are talking about. The tall one, distinguished, near the auction table. He has been watching you since you walked in, and honey, that is not the look of a man who sees nothing. Charlie shook her head. You are imagining things. I am a graphic designer. I notice things, and I am telling you that man noticed you. It does not matter. It does matter because Derek wants you to think you are nothing. And that stranger looked at you like you were everything. Charlie turned to face her friend. Stop, please. I cannot do this tonight. I cannot think about moving on or new beginnings or any of that. I just need to survive this evening without falling apart. Rachel pulled her into a hug, tight, fierce, the kind of hug that said words were not enough. Okay, Rachel whispered. We survived, but Charlie, you are not nothing. You never were. They stood there for a moment, two women in a marble bathroom, holding each other up, the way they had been doing since college, since before Derek, since Charlie knew who she was without someone telling her. A toilet flushed, a stall door opened, an older woman emerged, washed her hands, left without looking at them. Charlie pulled away. I should get back. Are you sure? No, but I am going anyway. They walked back into the ballroom together. The gala had shifted. People were mingling now, moving between tables. The rigid structure of the program had dissolved into something more casual. Derek stood near the bar, Victoria beside him. She was laughing at something he said, her hand on his arm. Possessive, young, unaware that in a few years she would be standing in a bathroom just like this, putting on lipstick with shaking hands, wondering when she became nothing. Charlie felt a flash of pity for her. Then it was gone. She thought about 3 years ago. Their kitchen, morning light streaming through windows that cost more than most people's cars. Derek had been on his phone, always on his phone. Charlie, the Hendersons are coming for dinner Friday. He did not look up. I have that presentation Friday. The campaign I have been working on for 6 months. Reschedule it. Not a question, never a question with Derek. It has been on my calendar for 2 months. And the Hendersons' investment is worth $20 million. So yes, you will reschedule. She always did. The presentation had been important. A chance to show her worth to the firm, to prove she was more than Derek Ashford's wife. But she had rescheduled, made excuses, played the supportive wife. The Hendersons had invested. Derek's company had grown, and Charlie's career had stalled. 2 years ago, his office Christmas party, everyone drinking too much, laughing too loud, celebrating bonuses and profits and success. Why are you not drinking? Some colleague whose name she never remembered. Champagne gives me migraines. Derek's hand had tightened on her waist. Warning, she felt his fingers dig into her ribs. She is just being difficult. Grab her a glass. She had drunk it, smiled through the pain that started 20 minutes later. Spent the next day in a dark room with ice on her temples, and Derek annoyed that she was not feeling well enough to host his parents for brunch. 18 months ago. Their bedroom. 2 in the morning. She had woken to find him on his phone, texting, the blue light illuminating his face. You are still awake. She had been careful, neutral. Work crisis. But she had seen the name before he locked the screen. Victoria. Who is Victoria? My new assistant, very efficient. The lie had sat between them like a third person in their bed. She had known it was a lie, known it in her bones, but she had chosen to believe it anyway. Because believing meant she did not have to face what came next. Go back to sleep, Derek had said. She had, or pretended to, while he texted his new assistant at 2 in the morning. While their marriage quietly bled out on 1,000 thread count sheets. Back in the present, Rachel squeezed her shoulder. Come on, let's show Derek Ashford what nothing looks like when she walks back into that room. They moved through the crowd. Charlie smiled, nodded, shook hands. She was good at this. The performance, the mask. But when she looked for the stranger, he was gone, disappeared, as if he had never been there at all. And somehow that felt like another small loss in a year full of them. The foundation director found her near the silent auction table. Charlotte, I am so glad you are here. Have you seen the response to your campaign materials? Charlie blinked, refocused. I am sorry. The literacy campaign, the one you did pro bono. We have had a 35% increase in donations this quarter. 35%! The words took a moment to land, to mean something beyond noise. That is wonderful, Charlie said. It is more than wonderful. It is transformative. I want to talk to you about next year, about doing something even bigger. I would love that. The director smiled, warm, genuine. I will call you next week. But Charlotte, thank you. What you did matters. You matter. The words landed differently than Derek's had, softer, kinder, true. Thank you, Charlie managed. The director moved on, left Charlie standing there, processing. Her work had mattered, had made a difference, had increased donations by 35%. Derek had not known, had not even asked, because to him, her work was nothing, just like she was nothing. But she was not nothing. She was a woman who increased donations by 35%, who created campaigns that worked, who had talent and skill and value. Derek was wrong. The thought was small, quiet, but it was there. Derek was wrong. The gala continued. Charlie moved through it like a ghost, smiling when appropriate, nodding at the right moments, bidding on auction items she did not want and would not win. The crowd pressed in, warm bodies, expensive perfume, the smell of money and ambition and people who mattered. She wondered if she mattered, if she had ever mattered, or if Derek had been right all along. Charlotte Bennett, she turned, a woman in her 60s approached, elegant, the kind of polish that came from old money, not new. Her dress was classic, timeless. The jewelry simple but clearly expensive. Recognition hit like cold water. I am Diane Ashford, Derek's mother. Charlie's stomach dropped. Mrs. Ashford. They had not spoken since the divorce. Diane had called once, left a voicemail Charlie never returned. It had felt too hard, too complicated. Diane was Derek's mother. Of course she would take his side. I owe you an apology. Diane's voice was quiet, firm, the kind of voice used to being heard without being raised. I do not understand. I heard what my son said tonight. It was cruel. It was untrue. And I wanted you to know that not everyone in his family shares his perspective. The words landed like stones in still water, ripples spreading out in all directions. You do not have to say that. I do, because it is true. Diane's eyes held genuine regret. My son is brilliant in business, hopeless with people. You were the best thing that ever happened to him. He was too foolish to see it. I did. I saw how you built him up, how you sacrificed, how you made our family gatherings bearable with your warmth and grace. Charlie's throat tightened. Mrs. Ashford. Diane, please. Diane, I appreciate this, but you do not need to make me feel better. I am not trying to make you feel better. I am trying to speak the truth. Diane paused. He told me you wanted the divorce. The lie sat between them. Familiar. Expected. He lied. The words came out steady, surprising even Charlie herself. He served me papers the week after he hired Victoria. I never wanted it to end. I wanted him to choose me. Diane nodded slowly. I suspected as much. My son rewrites history to suit his narrative. He always has. Even as a boy, he could never admit fault, never accept responsibility. It was always someone else's failure, never his. I am sorry. Do not apologize for him. He should apologize for himself, but he will not, because in his mind, he has done nothing wrong. And Diane reached out, touched Charlie's hand, brief, warm. I want you to know something. In the 7 years you were married to my son, you were more of a daughter to me than he has been a son. You remembered birthdays, asked about my garden, listened when I talked. You saw me as a person, not just Derek's mother. Tears pricked Charlie's eyes. She blinked them back. Thank you. No, thank you for trying, for being patient longer than anyone should have been, for loving my son even when he did not deserve it. Diane squeezed her hand, then let go. I should go, but Charlotte, you were never nothing, and anyone who says otherwise is a fool. She walked away, left Charlie standing there, shaking, not from cold, from something else, something that felt almost like hope. After Diane left, Charlie found herself on the terrace. She needed air, space, distance from Derek's voice and Victoria's laugh and the weight of 600 people who had heard her called nothing. The spring air was cool against her flushed skin. Below, the city spread out in lights, endless, indifferent to her small drama. She gripped the railing. Cold metal bit into her palms, grounded her. The memories came unbidden, unwanted, but relentless. Their first date, the coffee shop near campus. She had been 23. He had been 27. Already ambitious, already certain of his future. He had quoted Hemingway. She had corrected him. He had laughed, really laughed, said he had finally met someone who would not let him get away with pretending. She had thought it was a compliment, a sign he wanted someone real, someone honest, someone who would challenge him. She had been wrong. He had wanted someone to impress, someone to win, someone to conquer and then discard when he got bored. Their wedding, small, intimate. His mother had wanted something bigger, a society affair. But Charlie had convinced him that smaller was better, more meaningful, more about them and less about appearances. He had agreed, kissed her forehead, called her his North Star, the one who kept him grounded. 4 years later, he had told his lawyer she was an anchor dragging him down. The miscarriage. 2 years into marriage. She had been 12 weeks pregnant when it happened. Too early to tell most people. But they had told his parents. Her mother, Rachel. He had held her in the hospital, cried actual tears. She had never seen him cry before. Never seen him vulnerable. We will try again, he had promised. When you are ready. No rush. She had believed him, had loved him even more for his gentleness. His patience, they never tried again. He was always too busy, always traveling, always one more deal away from having time. Until Victoria. Suddenly he had time. Time to text at 2 in the morning, time for dinner, time to plan a future, just not with Charlie, the promotion, his big break, the one that made Tech Vantage a real player. She had helped him prep for weeks, mock interviews, strategy sessions. She had made his favorite dinner the night before, told him he would be brilliant. He had been brilliant, nailed every question, impressed every executive. At the celebration dinner, he had thanked everyone, his team, his investors, his mentors, his parents. He had not mentioned Charlie, not once, as if she had not spent weeks helping him, as if she had not been there at all. You know I could not have done it without you, he had said later that night. In bed, in the dark, where words cost nothing. But in the light, in front of people who mattered, she had been invisible. Every good memory poisoned now, tainted by hindsight, by the understanding that she had been nothing to him long before he said it out loud. I gave him my best years, she said to the empty air. The city lights blurred. That was not nothing. I was not nothing. The words felt like a prayer, a plea, a desperate attempt to believe something Derek had spent 7 years teaching her to doubt. The terrace door opened behind her. Beautiful view, terrible party. The stranger from inside, the one who had been watching her. Up close, he was even more striking. Not handsome in Derek's polished way. Something rawer, more real. Lines around his eyes that suggested he smiled often, gray threading through dark hair. A jaw that looked like it could take a punch. Are you always this blunt? Charlie asked. Only when I am irritated. He extended his hand. West Westbrook. Her brain stuttered. West Westbrook, as in Westbrook Capital, as in one of the most successful venture capitalists in the country, as in the man whose quarterly investments moved entire markets, whose name appeared in Forbes and Fortune and the Wall Street Journal. Charlotte Bennett. She shook his hand, warm, firm, calloused, not the soft hands of someone who only pushed papers. Though apparently I am nothing, so maybe I should not have a name at all. His jaw tightened, a muscle jumped near his ear. I apologize. I did not mean to eavesdrop, but your ex-husband has one of those voices designed to carry. He is very proud of that voice, spent $2,000 on voice coaching, said it would help him command rooms. Wes smiled, slight but genuine. I have met him. 3 years ago, he pitched me his company, Tech Vantage. Terrible pitch, worst business model. I passed. Charlie found herself smiling. Actually smiling, the first real smile all evening. He never mentioned being turned down by Westbrook Capital. No, I imagine not. Wes leaned against the railing beside her. Respectful distance, not crowding. For what it is worth, I did not invest because his numbers were fiction and his ego was bigger than his product. But I remember thinking his wife deserved better. You remember meeting his wife? The words came out sharper than she intended, suspicious. Because men like Westbrook did not remember wives. They remembered entrepreneurs, deals, opportunities. You were wearing blue. His voice was matter of fact, not flirtatious, just stating facts. A blue dress. You asked intelligent questions about market saturation while he talked over you. Then you excused yourself to take a call. I watched him immediately start flirting with the server the moment you left the room. So yes, I remember. The memory hit her like a physical blow. 3 years ago, Derek's big pitch meeting. She had been so hopeful, had taken time off work to support him, had believed this was their moment, their big break. Westbrook had said no. Derek had been furious, blamed her for asking questions, for making him look bad, for not understanding how these things worked. You asked about market saturation, he had snapped in the car. Made me sound like I had not done my research. I was trying to show we had thought about long-term sustainability. There is no we in this, Charlie. This is my company, my pitch. Your job was to sit there and look supportive, not question my strategy in front of potential investors. She had apologized. Of course she had, because that was what she did. Apologize for existing, for speaking, for having thoughts. Later that night, she had sat in her parked car outside their building. 2 a.m, engine off, keys in hand, unable to go inside and face his anger, his disappointment, his cold shoulder that would last for days. She had sat there for an hour, maybe longer, wondering when her marriage had become something she needed to brace herself for, when coming home had stopped feeling safe. Why are you telling me this? Charlie asked West. His expression grew serious. Because I have spent 3 years regretting not saying something that night. Not telling you that you were asking the right questions while he was giving the wrong answers. Not warning you that a man who flirts with servers while his wife steps away is a man who does not deserve her. I would not have listened. Probably not, but I should have tried. He paused, took a sip of his drink. Scotch. She could smell it on the spring air. I followed your career after that. Saw you made vice president at Morrison Marketing. Saw your campaign for the Literacy Foundation last year. Brilliant work. The storytelling was exceptional. You understood the emotional hook. You followed my career? The question hung between them, weighted, strange. This billionaire venture capitalist had followed her career, remembered a blue dress, thought about her for 3 years. Some people stay in your mind. His voice was quiet, honest. You were one of them. The air between them shifted, charged. Charlie felt something flutter in her chest, something she had thought was dead. I should get back inside, she said. But she did not move, could not move. Or, Wes said carefully, you could tell me why you are really out here hiding from a party full of people who are beneath your notice. They are not beneath my notice. They should be. Anyone who heard what your ex-husband said and did not immediately defend you is not worth your time. That is easy for you to say. You are Westbrook. You can afford to dismiss people. And you are Charlotte Bennett, the woman who increased donations to the Literacy Foundation by 35%. The woman who built campaigns that work, who has talent and skill and value. You can afford to dismiss people too. How do you know about the 35%? He smiled. I am on the board. I read the reports. Of course. Westbrook was on the board, probably donated more than Derek's entire annual salary, Probably knew everyone here. Probably knew she was Derek's ex-wife before she even walked in. So you knew, she said. You knew I would be here. You knew Derek would be here. You knew about the divorce. I knew. No apology, no excuse, just honesty. And you came anyway. I came because I support the foundation. I stayed because I wanted to see if you were as remarkable as I remembered. His eyes met hers, held. You are more remarkable because you are still standing after everything he put you through, still showing up, still doing the work. Charlie should have walked away, should have thanked him politely and gone back inside, back to Rachel, back to safety. Instead, she stayed. And she told him about Derek's affair, about the divorce, about discovering he had been moving assets into offshore accounts for 18 months, about the settlement that was fair on paper but felt like theft of her time, her youth, her belief in love. And tonight, she finished, tonight I came here to prove I was fine, to show up and hold my head high. Instead, I am hiding on a terrace telling my sob story to a man I just met. First, Wes said, it is not a sob story, it is your story, and you have every right to tell it. Second, we did not just meet. We met 3 years ago. You just did not know I was paying attention. His words settled into her chest. Warm, unexpected, real. Why are you being kind to me? Because kindness costs nothing, and because you deserve it, and because your ex-husband is an idiot who does not recognize value when it is right in front of him. The door to the terrace opened, a staff member apologizing for the interruption. The auction was closing soon. Would they like to return inside? Wes straightened, adjusted his cufflinks. I should let you go. Wait. The word escaped before she could stop it, before she could think better of it. Why did you really come out here? His smile was slight, honest. The kind of smile that reached his eyes and made the lines around them deepen. Because I saw you hear those words. Saw you hold yourself together when anyone else would have shattered. And I thought, there she is, the woman who asked the right questions 3 years ago, still asking them, still standing, still remarkable. He walked away before she could respond, left her standing on the terrace with the city lights below and something warm blooming in her chest, something that felt dangerously like hope. The auction closed with Charlie's campaign materials being highlighted. The foundation director stood at the podium, her voice carried through the speakers. Before we conclude this evening, I want to take a moment to thank someone special. Charlotte Bennett could not be here tonight. Charlie froze. What was she talking about? She was right here. Rachel grabbed her arm, whispered, she does not know you are here. Listen. Charlotte donated her time and considerable talent to create our Every Child Deserves Their Story campaign. She worked pro bono, asked for nothing in return, and because of her vision, her creativity, her understanding of what moves people, we have seen a 35% increase in donations this quarter. The applause started, grew, filled the ballroom. 35%, the director repeated. That is hundreds of thousands of dollars for literacy programs, for books in schools, for children who might never have learned to love reading. Charlotte Bennett did that. Her work matters. She matters. The applause continued, people turning to look for her, searching. Derek's face, she could see it from across the room. Surprise, then confusion, then something darker. Anger. He had not known, had not been paying attention to what she was doing. Good. The director finished her speech. The gala wound down. People began to leave, calling for cars, saying goodbyes. Charlie stayed, accepted congratulations from strangers, shook hands with board members, collected business cards from people who wanted to hire her. Your campaign was exceptional, one woman said. She ran a museum, wanted to talk about donor engagement strategies. The storytelling was so effective, another man added. He worked for a hospital foundation. Needed someone who understood emotional narrative because they saw her, not Derek's ex-wife, not nothing. They saw Charlotte Bennett, marketing executive, the woman who increased donations by 35%. Derek kept his distance. Smart. Victoria looked confused, kept glancing between Derek and Charlie, trying to understand the dynamics, the history, the pain. She would learn, in time. When Derek called her nothing too. The drive home was quiet, city lights blurring past, radio off, just the hum of tires on pavement and Rachel humming softly beside her. You okay? Rachel asked. I think so. That was something. The director's speech and that man, Westbrook. He was just being nice. Billionaires are not just nice, Charlie. They are strategic. He was interested. It does not matter. Why not? Because I am not ready. Because I am still putting myself back together. Because the last time I trusted my judgment about a man, I married Derek. Rachel was quiet for a moment. Fair enough, but Charlie, your judgment was not wrong. Derek lied. He manipulated. He made you doubt yourself. That is not the same as you being bad at reading people. Charlie did not answer. Let the words sit. Did not know if she believed them yet. At home, her apartment was dark, small, all her possessions unpacked now, but still feeling temporary, like she was camping in someone else's life. She hung up her dress, washed her face. The lipstick came off in streaks of red. War paint washed away, just her underneath. Pale, tired, 35 years old and starting over. She thought about those 3 a.m. Google searches, the ones from 6 weeks ago. Is 35 too old to start over? The answer was not in Google. The answer was in showing up tonight, in the foundation director's speech, in Westbrook remembering a blue dress, in Diane Ashford's apology. Small things, small victories. Maybe that was all healing ever was. Small victories that added up over time. Until one day you woke up and realized you were okay. Not great, not whole, but okay. The next morning arrived too soon. Coffee became ritual. The shop 2 blocks from her apartment. Her Saturday morning sanctuary. She ordered her usual, found her corner table, opened her laptop. Work was safe. Work made sense. Work had rules and outcomes and things she could control. Is this seat taken? She looked up. Westbrook, casual clothes, jeans, a sweater that looked soft, inexpensive. Without the tuxedo, he looked younger, more approachable, more real. Are you following me? Charlie asked, but she was smiling. Coincidence, I live 2 blocks from here. He gestured to the counter. Best espresso in the city. I have been coming here for years. I have been coming here for 4 months. Then we are neighbors. That makes this less creepy, right? She laughed, actual laughter that came from somewhere deep, marginally. He sat without asking again, the kind of confidence that came from success but not arrogance, comfortable in his skin, comfortable with silence. I owe you an apology, Wes said after a moment. For what? Last night, I dumped a lot of heavy observation on you. The pitch meeting memory, following your career, that is a lot for someone to process. It was honest. Honest can be overwhelming. Charlie considered him. This billionaire who lived 2 blocks away, who remembered a blue dress from 3 years ago, who thought following someone's career was worth apologizing for. I am not overwhelmed, she said. I am curious. About? Why you remembered, why you noticed, why you cared. West was quiet for a moment. The coffee shop hummed around them. Espresso machine hissing, people talking, normal Saturday morning sounds. Because I watched a man treat something precious like it was disposable, he finally said. And I thought about all the things I had let slip through my fingers because I was too focused on the next deal, the next investment, the next big win. His eyes met hers, steady, honest. Sometimes you see someone and think, there is the life I could have had if I had paid attention, if I had valued people over profits, if I had been brave enough to say something when it mattered. The words settled between them. Heavy, true, complicated. That is a lot of weight to put on a stranger, Charlie said softly. You are right, I am sorry. Do not be. She closed her laptop, decided something. Tell me about the life you did have instead. So he did. Talked about growing up in foster care, about learning to read late, about the teacher who changed everything, about building a company from nothing, about investing in other people's dreams because he remembered what it felt like to have none of his own. And Charlie listened, really listened, the way she used to listen to Derek before he stopped talking to her and started talking at her. This was different. This was two people in a coffee shop on a Saturday morning, sharing stories, finding common ground, being real. It felt dangerous. It felt safe. It felt like the first deep breath she had taken in months. 3 weeks passed. Coffee became routine. Saturdays at first, then Sundays, then the occasional weeknight when Wes was in town. He traveled constantly. London, Tokyo, Singapore, building his empire one investment at a time. But he always came back, always texted when he landed, always showed up at the coffee shop 2 blocks from her apartment. They talked about everything. Books, travel, ambitions. He asked about her childhood. Listened when she talked about her father dying when she was 12, how it had shaped her, made her careful with love because losing it hurts so much. Tell me about the foundation campaign, he said one Tuesday evening. Rain drummed against the windows. The coffee shop was nearly empty, just them and the barista and the smell of fresh bread. She did. Explained the strategy, the demographics, the emotional touch points that drove donations, how she had studied what worked and what did not, how she had crafted a narrative that made people care. You are brilliant at this, Wes said. Not flattery, observation. I am good at understanding what people need to hear. That is not the same as manipulation. Is it not? No, manipulation is telling people what they want to hear. You tell them what they need to hear. There is a difference. Charlie thought about that, the distinction. Derek had been good at telling people what they wanted to hear, making promises he never kept, painting futures that never materialize. She tried to tell people the truth, even when the truth was hard, even when it cost her. 2 weeks ago, West had invited her to dinner, actual dinner, not coffee, not casual, an invitation that required a response, a decision, a step forward or a step back. She had stood in her closet for 30 minutes. The designer dresses Derek bought hung in the back, untouched since the divorce. She had reached for one, then stopped. Those dresses were not hers. They were costumes, uniforms for playing Derek's wife, for being who he needed her to be. She had bought her own dress instead. Navy, simple, her choice, her money, her decision. The dinner had been perfect. Small Italian place, no pretension, red checkered tablecloths, candles and wine bottles, real food instead of molecular gastronomy. They had talked for hours about books. He loved Steinbeck. She preferred Toni Morrison. They debated the best ending in literature, agreed to disagree about whether ambiguity was genius or cop-out. Why are you not married? She had asked. Bold, the wine made her brave. I was, a long time ago, early 20s. It lasted 3 years. What happened? I was building the company. She needed someone present. I could not be both. He met her eyes. No shame, just honesty. I chose wrong, kept choosing wrong for years. Work over life, deals over people. Until one day I looked up and realized I had built an empire, but forgotten to build a life. Do you regret it? Every day, but regret without change is just self-pity. So I am changing. How? Coffee on Saturdays with a woman who asks the right questions. 1 week ago, Charlie had been working late. Client presentation the next day. The new museum account. High stakes, good money. A chance to prove she could build something on her own. Her phone had buzzed. West. Have you eaten? Does coffee count? No, I am sending dinner. Thai, okay. 30 minutes later, her doorbell rang. Not delivery, West. Standing in her hallway with bags of Thai food and that slight smile. You did not have to do this, she had said. I wanted to. There is a difference. They had eaten on her floor, papers spread everywhere, campaign materials, strategy documents, her entire presentation laid out like a map. He had helped her refine it, asked questions that sharpened her pitch, pointed out weak spots. suggested stronger narratives. You are good at this, she had said. I have sat through 1,000 pitches. You learn what works. After he left, Charlie had sat in her empty apartment, but it did not feel empty. It felt full for the first time in months, not physically full, emotionally full. She had picked up her phone, put it down, picked it up again. The panic cleaning had started at 10, everything perfect, dishes washed, papers organized, cushions fluffed, the apartment magazine ready. Derek approved. Then she had stopped, looked around, really looked. Perfect was Derek's requirement. Derek's rules, Derek's version of her. She had deliberately messed up the cushions, left her coffee cup in the sink, put her papers back on the floor where she was working. This was her space, her mess, her life. And West had seen it messy, seen her in sweatpants and an old college t-shirt, seen her stressed and focused and real. And he had not minded, had not criticized, had not told her she should be different. He had just helped, then left. No expectations, no demands, no strings. Present day, the coffee shop, Tuesday evening, rain still falling. What are you thinking about? West asked. Charlie realized she had been quiet for several minutes, lost in memory. About how different this feels. Different how? Easy, like I do not have to perform. Like I can just be myself and that is enough. His expression softened. Something warm in his eyes. You never did. Not with me. You have always been enough exactly as you are. Her phone buzzed. Email notification. The foundation director. Everything okay? West asked. Charlie read the email, then read it again, making sure she understood. They want me to speak at the annual gala, the big one. 600 attendees, major donors. They want me to present my vision for next year's campaign. That is incredible, Derek will be there. He is on the board. Silence. West's jaw tightened slightly, not much, but enough. Will that be a problem? Charlie asked. Seeing him again, West stood, extended his hand. Walk with me? The park near Charlie's apartment was empty, evening settling into night. West had bought them coffee to go. They walked in comfortable silence. Rain had stopped, left everything wet and clean and new. I need to tell you something, West said finally, and you are not going to like it. Charlie's stomach tightened. Here it was, the other shoe, the complication. The reason this was too good to be true. Okay, I am the keynote speaker at the foundation gala. She stopped walking. What? I have been the keynote speaker for 3 years, major donor, board member. I committed to it months ago, before I knew you would be there. Before this. He gestured between them. Whatever this is. Before this, Charlie repeated. Her mind racing, processing. What is this exactly? West turned to face her, street lamps casting shadows across his features, making him look older, more serious. I do not know yet, but I would like to find out, if you are willing. You are on the board with Derek. I am. You have worked with him. I have tolerated him. There is a difference. And now you are what? Dating his ex-wife? That will go over well. I am not dating anyone. West's voice was careful, measured. I am having coffee with someone I find remarkable. Someone I have thought about for 3 years. Someone who deserves better than to be called nothing by a man who could not see her worth. The words hung in the cool air. Real, honest, dangerous. I am scared, Charlie admitted. The truth, raw, vulnerable. I am scared that this is just validation, that I am using you to prove Derek wrong, that I am not actually feeling what I think I am feeling. Are you? West asked. Using me? She thought about it, really thought. The coffee shop conversations, the Thai food on her floor, the way he listened, the way he remembered, the way he showed up without demands or expectations. No, she said, but I might be afraid to trust my own judgment. Last time I trusted it, I married someone who called me nothing. Then do not trust your judgment yet. Trust the facts. West's voice was steady, calm. Fact, we have interesting conversations. Fact, I enjoy your company. Fact, You smile more now than you did 3 weeks ago. Fact, neither of us is rushing anywhere. We are just here. The simplicity of it landed, made sense, felt safe. Okay, Charlie said. Just here. I can do that. They walked for another hour, talked about the gala, about his speech, about her presentation, about how to navigate being in the same room with Derek without it becoming a thing. If you want me to step down as keynote speaker, I will, West offered. No, you have been doing this for 3 years. I am not going to disrupt that. I am not going to let Derek dictate my choices anymore. Good, because you are brilliant, and your presentation will be exceptional, and everyone should hear what you have to say. 6 weeks ago, Charlie had woken from a nightmare, Derek's voice on repeat. You were nothing, nothing, nothing. She had gone to the bathroom, splashed water on her face, caught her reflection in the mirror, and something had broken. All the strength, all the progress, all the independent woman rebuilding her life performance. Gone. She had slid down the bathroom wall. Let the sobs take her. The ugly kind. The kind that came from somewhere deep and primal and broken. She had cried until there were no tears left, until her chest ached and her throat was raw, until exhaustion pulled her under. Then she had woken on the cold bathroom floor. 3:14 in the morning, tile hard against her back, fluorescent light buzzing overhead. The Google searches had started then. How to stop caring what your ex thinks. Is 35 too old to start over? Signs you married a narcissist. That one had been a revelation. Every article, every checklist, every description. Derek, all of it. Derek. Will the pain ever stop? How to know if you wasted your life? She had read articles until dawn. None of them helped. But the searching felt like doing something. Anything. Better than lying on the bathroom floor feeling nothing. 5 weeks ago, she had called Marcus Callahan, her divorce attorney, now something like a friend. The only person who had seen her at her worst and not judged. I cannot do this anymore. Her voice had been raw, broken. Cannot do what? His voice gentle, patient, professional but caring. Pretend I am okay. Pretend I am strong. Pretend the divorce was the right thing when I never wanted it in the first place. Silence on the other end. Then Marcus had said the thing she needed to hear. Charlie, the divorce was the right thing because staying would have killed who you are, slowly, painfully, until nothing was left. And yes, he called you nothing. But he is wrong. You have always been something. You just forgot for a while, and that is okay. That is allowed. That is part of healing. He said I was nothing. He is wrong, but more importantly, what do you say? She had not known the answer then, but she knew it now. She was Charlotte Bennett, 35 years old, marketing executive, divorced, rebuilding, becoming something stronger, something real, something that could not be broken by one man's opinion. The next 2 weeks passed in a blur. Wes traveled, Singapore, then London. But he texted, sent pictures, stayed connected even from halfway around the world. Coffee, dinners when he was in town, long walks. One night he took her to a private art gallery viewing, introduced her to collectors and artists, not as decoration, as an equal. Charlotte is brilliant with narrative marketing, he told a museum director. You should talk to her about your donor campaigns. The director had hired her the following week. Another client, another success, another piece of proof that she was more than Derek's discarded ex-wife. Charlie went dress shopping for the gala. This time, no hesitation. She knew exactly what she wanted, not Derek's style, not trying to prove anything, just herself. Confident, real. The dress was deep emerald, simple cut, elegant. When she looked in the mirror, she saw herself. Not Derek's wife, not Derek's ex, just Charlotte. The night before the gala, West invited her to dinner. His place, a penthouse overlooking the city. She had expected cold luxury, steel and glass and expensive emptiness, the kind of place that looked like a magazine spread. Instead, it felt lived in. Books everywhere, art on the walls that clearly meant something, photos of people, places, moments, a life fully lived. Nervous about tomorrow, he asked. Terrified. Good, means you care. They ate on his balcony. The city spread below them like a glittering promise. Possibility in every light. Future in every street. Can I ask you something? Charlie said. Always. Why me? You could have anyone. Models, actresses, other successful executives. Women who have it all figured out. Why someone freshly divorced and still putting herself back together? West was quiet for a long moment, thoughtful. When he spoke, his voice was honest. Because I am 43 years old and I have dated all those women. The ones with perfect lives and perfect answers and perfect everything. And you know what I learned? What? Having it figured out is overrated. Becoming who you are meant to be? That is interesting. You are interesting. Every conversation reveals something new. Every coffee is different. You are not performing. You are just becoming. I do not want to be your project, your fixer-upper, the ex-wife you are saving from her terrible life. You are not. You are saving yourself. I am just lucky enough to watch, to be around someone brave enough to rebuild, smart enough to know she deserves better, strong enough to show up even when it hurts. The words settled into her chest, warm, real, true. Later, as he walked her to her car, Wes said something that made her heart race. Tomorrow night, when Derek sees you, when he realizes what he lost. That is not why I am interested in you, but I will not lie and say I will not enjoy watching him squirm. Charlie laughed. That is petty. I am a complicated man. He kissed her forehead, gentle, promising, not pushing. See you tomorrow night. She drove home with something like butterflies in her stomach. Not from fear, from possibility, from the understanding that maybe, just maybe, good things could happen, even after everything. The gala was bigger than Charlie remembered. 600 attendees, crystal chandeliers that cost more than her car, orchestra playing Vivaldi, the kind of event where fortunes were made and broken over champagne and small talk. She arrived alone, by choice. Rachel had offered to come. Her mother had wanted to fly in, but this was something Charlie needed to do herself. The emerald dress moved like water. She had left her hair down. Natural, no armor, no mask, just herself. Derek saw her immediately. She watched his expression shift. Surprise, he had not expected her to look like this. Confident, happy, whole. Then confusion, then calculation. She could see his brain working, trying to figure out the angle, the play, what she wanted. He started toward her. Charlie's heart hammered, but before he reached her, the foundation director intercepted. Charlotte, you look absolutely stunning. Come, I need you to meet some people. The next 30 minutes were a blur of introductions, major donors, corporate sponsors, Bobby who actually listened when she talked, who asked questions, who saw her as Charlotte Bennett, marketing executive, not Derek's ex-wife. Your campaign was transformative, one CEO said. She ran a tech company. Wanted to talk about brand storytelling. We need someone who understands narrative the way you do. Business cards accumulated in her clutch. Real opportunities. Not because of Derek. Despite Derek. Because of her own merit and talent and hard work. Derek kept his distance. Smart. Victoria stood beside him. Young, beautiful. Looking uncomfortable in a dress that cost more than most people's monthly rent. She kept glancing at Charlie. Curious, confused, trying to understand. She would learn. Eventually, when Derek got bored, when someone younger came along, when she became nothing too. The lights dimmed, the program began. Charlie found her seat, front row, speaker's table, right where she belonged. Derek was 3 seats away, far enough, close enough to see, to know, to understand what he had lost. The foundation director gave opening remarks, thanked everyone for coming, for their generous support, for believing that every child deserves their story. Then she introduced the keynote speaker. We are honored to have with us James Westbrook, founder of Westbrook Capital. Wes has been a major supporter of our literacy programs for 5 years. His investments in education technology have changed countless lives. But more than his financial support, we value his personal commitment to our mission. Please welcome Wes Westbrook. The applause was thunderous. Wes took the stage, confident, magnetic, comfortable in his skin in a way Derek never would be. He spoke about growing up in foster care, moving from home to home, never feeling safe, never feeling wanted, until a teacher named Mrs. Patterson taught him to read when he was 8 years old. I was angry, Wes said, his voice carrying through the speakers, filling the space. Angry at the world, angry at my circumstances, angry at everyone. Mrs. Patterson did not try to fix my anger. She just handed me a book, said this might help. The room was silent, captivated. The book was Where the Wild Things Are, simple, short, a children's book, but it changed everything. Because for the first time, I saw myself in a story. A boy who was angry, who did not fit, who went on an adventure and came back home. That book saved my life. He paused, let the words land. This foundation saved my life, and it is saving thousands more. But tonight, I want to talk about something different, about the people who save us without realizing it. The ones who ask the right questions, who see deeper, who care more. His eyes found Charlie in the audience. 3 years ago, I attended a pitch meeting. The entrepreneur was forgettable, arrogant, more style than substance. But his wife asked a question that stayed with him. Charlie's breath caught. Derek's face went pale. She asked, what happens to communities when technology replaces human connection? It was the kind of question that cuts through nonsense, gets to truth, shows someone who thinks deeply about impact, about people, about what really matters. Wes' voice was steady, calm, powerful. I did not invest in that company. The numbers did not work. The founder was all ego and no substance. But I never forgot that question, or the woman who asked it, someone who saw deeper than anyone else in that room, someone who thought harder, cared more, deserved better than being talked over and dismissed. Derek's hands were fists on the table. Victoria looked confused. I spent 3 years following her career from a distance, watching her do brilliant work, build campaigns that move people, create strategies that work, regretting that I never told her she had asked the right question, that she deserved better, that she was remarkable. The room was absolutely silent now, everyone leaning forward, listening. 6 weeks ago, I got a second chance. At a charity gala much like this one, I overheard someone call this remarkable woman nothing, as if 7 years of building someone else up, sacrificing her own ambitions, being patient and kind and supportive meant nothing, as if talent and intelligence and heart could be reduced to nothing. West's smile was slight, honest, powerful. And I thought, there is my opening, my chance to correct my 3-year-old mistake, my opportunity to say what I should have said then. That Charlotte Bennett is many things. Brilliant marketer, compassionate advocate, someone who increases donations by 35%, someone who rebuilds herself from ashes and emerges stronger, someone brave enough to start over, smart enough to know her worth, kind enough to keep showing up even when it hurts. Tears streamed down Charlie's face. She did not bother to wipe them away. But nothing, West's voice was firm, final. Never. Not even close. Charlotte Bennett was never nothing. She was always everything. The woman who asked the right question. The woman who saw what others missed. The woman I waited for. The applause was deafening. People standing, clapping, looking at her, seeing her, really seeing her. Charlie stood shakily. The room blurred through tears. But she found Wes's eyes across the distance, held his gaze, understood. This was not about Derek, not about revenge, not about proving anything. This was about being seen, really seen. After years of invisibility, after 7 years of being treated like decoration, like support staff, like nothing. Wes continued his speech, talked about literacy programs, about funding initiatives, about the power of stories to change lives. But Charlie barely heard it. She was processing, feeling, understanding that something fundamental had shifted, not just in how others saw her, in how she saw herself. The speech ended. The gala continued, but everything had changed. People approached Charlie with genuine interest, not pity, not curiosity about the drama, real professional interest in her work. I would love to talk about our next campaign, the museum director said. Your approach to narrative marketing is exactly what we need, a hospital foundation representative added. Derek stayed in his seat, frozen, his face a progression of emotions: shock, anger, understanding, loss. Victoria touched his arm. He shook her off, stood abruptly, walked out. She followed, confused, probably hurt, definitely realizing she had stepped into something complicated. Rachel appeared at Charlie's elbow. Holy shit. Yeah, that billionaire just publicly claimed you in front of 600 people. I noticed. How do you feel? Charlie thought about it, really thought, checked in with herself. The panic, the fear, the old instinct to minimize, to apologize, to make herself smaller. It was not there. In its place, something else, something solid, real, true. Good, she said. I feel good. Wes found her on the terrace. Same terrace from 6 weeks ago, same city lights below stretching into infinity, same spring air carrying the scent of blooming magnolias from the garden below. But everything different, everything changed, everything new. Charlie stood at the railing, hands gripping the cold metal. The emerald dress caught the light from inside, made her look like she was glowing, made her look like something precious, something valuable, something that could never be nothing. That was quite a speech, she said without turning. She had felt him approach, known his presence before he spoke, the way you know when someone important enters a room. Too much? His voice was careful, concerned, not apologetic, just checking. Absolutely. She turned to face him, tears still wet on her cheeks, but smiling, really smiling. Way too much, completely over the top. Probably the most romantic thing anyone has ever done for me. Regrets? She thought about it, really thought. Checked in with the fear, the panic, the old instinct to minimize, to apologize, to make herself smaller so others could feel bigger. It was not there. In its place, something solid, real, true, and no regrets. Questions, but no regrets. Ask them. Wes moved closer, respectful distance, always respectful. Even now, even after that speech, he never assumed, never took, only offered. Is this real, or am I just a statement? Proof that you are different from Derek? A way to make a point to 600 people? The questions spilled out, raw, honest, vulnerable. Are you the kind of man who rescues broken women to feel important? Am I just another investment that makes you look good? Wes did not flinch, did not get defensive, did not tell her she was being crazy or overreacting or reading too much into things. All the things Derek would have said. Instead, he stepped closer, close enough that she could see the silver threads in his hair, the lines around his eyes, the tiny scar above his left eyebrow she had never asked about. It is real, he said, his voice steady, calm, true. Has been since that pitch meeting 3 years ago, maybe before. I do not know exactly when it started, but I remember seeing you in that blue dress, hearing you ask that question about human connection, watching your ex-husband talk over you like you had not said anything brilliant, and thinking, that woman is wasted on him. He paused, let the words settle. I did not think I had a right to interrupt your life, your marriage, your choices. You had made a commitment. I respected that. But I remembered you, followed your career, watched you do brilliant work, hoped you were happy, feared you were not. And when you saw me 6 weeks ago, when I saw you 6 weeks ago, you were free, divorced, starting over. And I thought, this is my chance, my opportunity to tell you what I should have said 3 years ago. That you deserve better, that you are remarkable, that any man who cannot see your worth is a fool. Charlie felt something crack open in her chest. Not breaking, opening, like ice melting after a long winter. What if I am not remarkable? What if I am just ordinary? What if you are seeing something that is not really there? Then I will keep seeing it until you see it too. West's smile was gentle, patient, kind. But Charlie, you are not ordinary. Ordinary people do not increase donations by 35%. Ordinary people do not rebuild after having their heart broken. Ordinary people do not show up at galas where their ex-husband might be just to prove they can. You are brave, talented, strong, and yes, remarkable. That is a lot of pressure. It is not pressure. It is just observation. You do not have to perform for me. You do not have to be anything other than exactly who you are. Messy apartment, 3 a.m. panic attacks, Google searches about starting over, all of it. I want all of it. The terrace door opened. Loud, deliberate, the sound of someone who wanted to interrupt. Derek. Of course, he stood in the doorway, backlit by the ballroom lights. Still handsome, still confident, but smaller somehow, diminished, as if West's speech had physically shrunk him. Charlie, can we talk? His voice was tight, controlled, the tone he used in business meetings when things were not going his way. Charlie looked at West, he nodded, stepped back but did not leave, gave her space but stayed close. A silent promise, I am here if you need me, but this is your conversation, your moment, your power. What do you want, Derek? Derek glanced at West, back to Charlie, calculation in his eyes, trying to figure out the play, the angle, the way to win. Loan, please. No, the word came out firm. Final. Whatever you have to say, you can say it in front of West. I am done with private conversations that get twisted later. Done with he said, she said. Done with your version of reality being the only one that matters. Derek's jaw tightened, a muscle jumping near his ear, the same tell he had in poker. When he was bluffing. When he was losing. Fine, Doom. He stepped onto the terrace, the door closed behind him, muffling the sounds of the gala, the orchestra, the laughter, the champagne glasses clinking. I wanted to apologize for what I said. At the last event, it was cruel. Yes, it was. Charlie did not make it easy, did not rush to accept, did not smooth it over, just acknowledge the truth. You have to understand, Victoria and I were going through something. Wedding planning is stressful. I was overwhelmed. I did not mean it. You meant it. Charlie's voice was steady, calm, sure, not angry, just stating facts. You meant every word. You have meant it for years. You just finally said it out loud. That is not fair. Fair, the word came out sharp, bitter, years of swallowed anger finally finding voice. You want to talk about fair? Let me tell you about fair, Derek. She took a breath, centered herself. This was not about losing control. This was about speaking truth, about being heard, about reclaiming her story from the man who had tried to rewrite it. You moved money into offshore accounts for 18 months before you filed for divorce. You gaslit me about Victoria, told me she was just your assistant when you were already having an affair. You served me divorce papers at work, had them delivered to my office so all my colleagues would see, then told everyone I wanted the divorce, that I was difficult, that I was holding you back. Derek opened his mouth. She held up her hand. I am not finished. You took credit for work I did. The Henderson pitch? I wrote half of that presentation. The Morgan account? My strategy? The expansion into the Southeast markets? My research, but you never mentioned my contributions. Not once. You let people think it was all you. Charlie, you are being dramatic. Am I? You made me reschedule my career for your dinners. Told me champagne migraines were me being difficult. Flirted with servers while I stepped away to take calls. Cried about our miscarriage and then refused to try again. Because you were too busy. And then, after all of that, after 7 years of building you up and swallowing myself down, you called me nothing in front of 600 people. Her voice was rising now. Not yelling, but powerful, strong. The voice of someone who had found her anger and was not afraid to use it. So no, Derek, you do not get to talk about fair. You do not get to make me the bad guy. You do not get to rewrite history to make yourself feel better about the choices you made. Derek's face had gone red, the color creeping up from his collar, the way it did when he was really angry, when he was about to explode. I gave you 7 years, he said, voice tight, controlled, dangerous. I gave you my name, my connections, access to a life you never would have had without me. And this is how you repay me? By humiliating me in front of my colleagues? By letting your new boyfriend trash me in public? You gave me 7 years. Charlie laughed, short, sharp, bitter. You took 7 years, took my 20s, took my early 30s, took the years I could have been building my own career, my own life, my own identity. You took and took and took. And then you threw me away like I was nothing. You were nothing when I met you, a marketing assistant making $30,000 a year. I made you. The words hung in the air, ugly, cruel, true to what he believed. Wes moved, just slightly, a shift in weight, ready to intervene if needed, but still giving Charlie space, still letting her fight her own battle. You are right, Charlie said, her voice suddenly calm, quiet, lethal. I was a marketing assistant making $30,000 a year when we met. And you know what? I am grateful you said that, because it shows exactly who you are, what you value, how you see people. She stepped closer to him, close enough to see the shock in his eyes, the confusion. He had expected her to cry, to crumble, to prove his point. I was a marketing assistant, but I was also a woman with a degree from a good school, with talent, with ambition, with dreams. You did not make me, Derek. You used me, used my ideas, my labor, my support, my patience. And when you were done, when you had climbed high enough on my back, you threw me away. That is not how it was. That is exactly how it was. And you know what? I am grateful, truly grateful, because those 7 years taught me exactly what I do not want, what I will not accept, what I deserve. With him, Derek gestured toward West, contempt in his voice, in his expression. Come on, Charlie. He is using you to get back at me, to make a point, to expand his network. We both know how these men operate, how they collect women like trophies. No, Charlie smiled, small, genuine, powerful. We both know how you operate. Do not project your ugliness onto everyone else. You think he cares about you? Really cares. You are just another investment, another deal, another line item in his portfolio. When he gets bored, when something shinier comes along, he will discard you just like I did. Wes spoke for the first time, his voice calm, measured, but with an edge of steel underneath. I'm going to say this once, Ashford. Listen carefully. Charlotte is not an investment. She is not a deal. She is not a trophy or a statement or a point to be made. She is a brilliant, talented, remarkable woman who deserves to be seen, to be valued, to be treated with respect and kindness and honesty. He paused. Let the words sink in. I know you cannot understand that. I know you see people as tools, as means to ends, as things to be used and discarded. But that is your limitation, your failure, not hers, and certainly not mine. Derek's face was purple now, fury barely contained. You have no idea what you are getting into. She is damaged goods, broken. She will never trust you, never believe you really care. She will spend your entire relationship waiting for you to leave. Then I will spend our entire relationship proving she can trust me. Wes' voice was steady. Sure. And if that takes months or years or decades, I will do it. Because she is worth it. Because real connection takes time. Because love is patient. The word landed like a bomb. Love. He had said love. In front of Derek, in front of Charlie. No hedging, no maybe, just love. Derek laughed. Harsh. Bitter. You have known her for 6 weeks. You do not love her. You love the idea of her, the fantasy, the damaged woman you get to rescue. I have known her for 3 years, Wes corrected. I have been paying attention for 3 years, watching her do brilliant work, rebuild after you broke her, show up even when it hurt. That is not fantasy. That is reality. And yes, I love her. Have loved her for longer than 6 weeks, just did not have the right to say it until now. Charlie felt tears on her cheeks again. Different tears, not pain, not shame, something else. Something warm and overwhelming and real. Derek had no response to that. No comeback. No manipulation. For once in his life, he had no words. I am done here, Charlie said. Done with you. Done with your version of reality. Done with letting you make me feel small. I am not nothing, Derek. I never was. I was just with someone who could not see value in anything he did not create himself. She thought about her closet, the designer dresses he had bought, the ones that made her feel like a doll, a thing to display, a possession. I do not wear the clothes you bought me anymore, she said. Gave them all away, every single piece, to a women's shelter. Women who are leaving men like you, who need something nice to wear to job interviews, to court dates, to the first day of their new lives. This is about clothes now? Derek's laugh was sharp, defensive. This has never been about clothes or money, or any of the material things you think define worth. Charlie's voice was calm now, sure. This has been about being seen, being valued, being treated like a partner instead of an accessory, and you could not do that. Could not see me, could not value me, could not treat me like an equal. She stepped even closer, close enough to smell his cologne, the same expensive scent he always wore, the smell that used to mean home and now just meant past. You called me nothing, and for a while I believed you. Sat on my bathroom floor at 3 in the morning, wondering if you were right, if I had wasted my life, if I was too old to start over, if I would ever be anything more than Derek Ashford's discarded ex-wife. Her voice was steady, no tremor, no weakness, just truth. But you were wrong. I was never nothing. I was just with someone who needed me to be nothing so he could feel like everything. And I am done with that. Done with you. Done with this conversation. She walked past him, back to West, back to the future, back to possibility. Derek grabbed her arm, not hard, but firm, stopping her. Charlie, wait. West moved fast, stepped between them, his voice low, dangerous. The kind of voice that suggested violence was an option even if it was not the first choice. Take your hand off her. Now. Derek dropped her arm, stepped back, something like fear flickering in his eyes. He was used to being the biggest man in the room, the most powerful, the most intimidating. But Wes was taller, broader, and had the kind of quiet strength that came from real power, not performed dominance. I was not hurting her, Derek said. Defensive. I just wanted to talk. She is done talking. Leave. Now, before I call security and have you removed from an event you are already being asked to leave. What are you talking about? Charlie smiled. I talked to the foundation director. Recommended you be removed from the board. She agreed. Said she has been looking for a reason for 2 years. Apparently you treat the staff poorly. Make inappropriate comments. Use your position for networking instead of actually caring about literacy. Derek's face went from purple to white. You cannot do that. I already did. The executive committee votes next week, but the director told me it is a formality. You are done here, Derek. Done using this foundation for your ego. Done using your position to feel important. Done. You vindictive bitch. The words were ugly, meant to wound, to make her small, to put her back in her place. They did not land, just bounced off, meaningless, powerless. I am not vindictive, Charlie said. I am just done protecting you from the consequences of your own behavior. Done making excuses, done smoothing things over. You did this, you burned this bridge, you lost this position. Not me, you. Derek looked between them. Wes solid and unmovable, Charlie calm and sure. The power dynamic completely shifted. He was the one on the outside now, the one without leverage, the one who had lost. This is not over, he said, empty threat, last desperate grasp at control. It is over, Charlie said. Has been over since you filed for divorce. This is just me finally accepting it, finally letting go, finally moving forward. Derek turned, walked back toward the ballroom, stopped at the door, looked back. You will regret this, both of you. Then he was gone, the door closing behind him, cutting off the sound, the light, the connection. Charlie exhaled, long, slow, did not realize she had been holding her breath. Wes's hand found hers, warm, solid, real. You okay? Yeah. She looked up at him. This man who had defended her, protected her, but still let her fight her own battle. Yeah, I am okay. Better than okay. I am free. You were always free. You just had to believe it. They stood there for a moment. The city lights below, the spring air around them, the future ahead of them. He is right about one thing, Charlie said. I am damaged. I do not trust easily. I will probably spend months or years waiting for you to leave, to get bored, to find someone shinier. Then I will spend months or years proving I am staying. Wes' voice was steady. Sure, I meant what I said in there about love, about patience, about you being worth it. You said you loved me. I do love you, have loved you since that pitch meeting. Just did not know how to tell you. Did not know if I had the right. But after tonight, after watching you stand up to him, watching you reclaim your power, I knew. I had to tell you, had to be honest. Even if it scares you, even if it is too soon, even if you are not ready to hear it. Charlie thought about Derek, how he had used love as a weapon, as manipulation, as control, how I love you from him had always come with conditions, expectations, demands. This felt different. This felt like gift, like offering, like truth given freely with no strings attached. I am scared, she admitted. Terrified, actually, of feeling this much, of wanting this much, of hoping this much. That is okay. Fear is allowed. Fear is normal. Fear is part of being brave enough to try again. What if I am not ready? Then we wait. We keep having coffee. We keep talking. We keep building trust. There is no rush, Charlie, no timeline, no expectations, just us, figuring it out together. The simplicity of it landed, made sense, felt possible. Okay, she said, us, figuring it out. I can do that. Good, because I am not going anywhere. He paused, smiled. Unless you want me to, then I will respect that. But I really hope you do not want me to. Charlie laughed, real laughter, from somewhere deep. I do not want you to. Then I am staying. They stood there, hands linked, city below, future ahead, past finally behind them. Inside, the gala was winding down, people leaving, calling for cars, saying goodbyes. The foundation director found them on the terrace. Charlotte, there you are. I wanted to introduce you to some people before they leave. Major donors who want to talk about your vision for next year. Charlie looked at West. He nodded, smiled, released her hand. Go. Do your brilliant work. I will be here when you are done. She walked back into the ballroom, into her future, into the life she was building. One conversation, one connection, one choice at a time. And for the first time in 7 years, she felt like herself. Whole, real, enough. Charlie climbed the stairs to her apartment. Each step familiar now. The third stair creaked. The seventh had a worn spot in the carpet. The 10th always made her think she had one more than she did. Home. Real home. Not a house that belonged to someone else. Not a space she was allowed to occupy as long as she followed the rules. Her space, her walls, her life. She unlocked the door, stepped inside. The apartment was dark, small, but hers. Every book on the shelf chosen by her. Every piece of art meaningful. Every object a decision she had made. She hung up the emerald dress carefully. It had served its purpose. Would hang in her closet as a reminder. Not of Derek, of herself, of the woman who had stood in front of 600 people and been seen. Really seen, for the first time in years. The dress next to it was the navy one she had bought for her first real dinner with West. The one that had marked her choosing herself, choosing her own style, her own identity. Her closet was small, but it was full of choices, of agency, of freedom. She washed her face. The lipstick came off in streaks of red. War paint washed away, just her underneath. Pale, tired. 35 years old and starting over. But starting over with hope, with possibility, with someone who saw her. She made tea, chamomile, the way her mother had taught her. The ritual soothing, familiar, safe. The kettle whistled, the tea steeped, the honey dissolved in golden swirls. Her phone buzzed. Multiple messages. Rachel, her mother, Diane Ashford, Marcus Callahan. People who had heard about the speech, about the confrontation, about Derek being removed from the board. The news traveled fast in their circles. She read through them, responded to a few, saved the rest for tomorrow. Tonight was for processing, for feeling, for being present with everything that had happened. Her laptop sat on the coffee table. Work calling, always work. But good work now. Work she chose. Work she controlled. Work that mattered. She opened a blank document, started typing. Ideas for the foundation campaign. Bigger, bolder, better than anything she had done before. The campaign would focus on adult literacy, on people who had fallen through the cracks, who had been told they were nothing, who were rebuilding, just like her. The story practically wrote itself. Her phone buzzed again. West, thank you for letting me be part of your story. She smiled, typed back, thank you for seeing me when I could not see myself. His response was immediate. I will always see you, even on the days you cannot see yourself, especially on those days. Another message came through, Rachel, all caps, multiple exclamation points. Did that billionaire really just publicly declare his feelings for you? Question mark, question mark, question mark. Oh, I am dying. I need details immediately. Charlie laughed, called her. Rachel picked up on the first ring. Tell me everything, and I mean everything. Do not leave out a single detail. So Charlie did. Told her about the speech, about West using the exact moment from 3 years ago, about Derek's face going pale, about the confrontation on the terrace, about Derek grabbing her arm and West stepping between them, about feeling powerful, free, whole. I am so proud of you, Rachel said, her voice thick with emotion. Charlie, do you know what you did tonight? You did not just stand up to Derek. You reclaimed yourself, your story, your power, your worth. I could not have done it without you, without all those nights you let me cry, all those pep talks, all those times you told me I was not crazy. You were never crazy. You were gaslit. There is a difference. They talked for another hour about West, about the future, about the foundation campaign, about everything and nothing, the way best friends do when there is too much to say and all the time in the world to say it. After they hung up, Charlie sat in the quiet of her apartment. The tea had gone cold. She made more, the ritual comforting, grounding. Her mother called, had seen the society page photos already posted online. Billionaire venture capitalist West Westbrook with marketing executive Charlotte Bennett at Literacy Foundation Gala. Not Derek's ex-wife, not someone's discarded anything. Marketing executive, her own identity, her own accomplishments, her own story. He seems nice, her mother said. Eleanor Bennett, retired teacher, widow, woman who had rebuilt her own life after Charlie's father died. Better than Derek, but that is a low bar. Charlie laughed. It is a very low bar. Do you love him? The question landed, direct, honest, the way her mother always was. I think so. Maybe. I do not know. Is it too soon to know? Love does not follow a timeline, sweetheart. You either feel it or you do not. But feeling it and being ready to act on it are two different things. You can love someone and still need time. He said he loves me tonight in front of Derek. And it terrified me, made me want to run, made me want to stay, made me feel everything all at once. That sounds like love to me. What if I am not ready? What if I am too broken? What if I ruin it? Her mother was quiet for a moment. Then she said something that shifted everything. Charlotte Marie Bennett, you listen to me. You are not broken. You are healing. There is a difference. Broken things cannot function. Healing things are in process. are becoming stronger, are learning and growing and changing. You are healing, and that is beautiful. That is brave. That is exactly what you should be doing. Tears streamed down Charlie's voice. I miss Dad. I know, sweetheart. I miss him too. Every day. But you know what he would say right now? What? He would say that any man who does not see your worth is not worth your time, and any man who does see it is worth taking a chance on. Your father was a romantic. He believed in love, in second chances, in the power of choosing hope over fear. I am so scared. Good. That means you care. That means it matters. That means you are alive and feeling and present. Scared is okay. Scared is allowed. Scared is part of being brave. They talked for another 30 minutes about David, about Derek, about West, about the foundation campaign, about life and love and everything in between. After they hung up, Charlie stood at her window. The city spread out below, each light a life, a story, a person choosing hope or fear, connection or isolation, moving forward or staying stuck. She thought about Derek's words. You were nothing. She thought about West's correction. Never, not even close. But more importantly, she thought about her own truth, the one she had been building these 6 months. Through 3 a.m. breakdowns and Google searches that had no answers, through pro bono work and panic cleaning, through small victories and quiet strength, through showing up even when it hurt, through choosing herself even when it was hard. She was Charlotte Bennett, 35 years old. Brilliant marketer who increased donations by 35% and was about to do even better. Divorced woman who had survived and rebuilt. Woman who asked the right questions. Woman who deserved to be seen, to be valued, to be loved. Not nothing, never nothing, just becoming something better, something stronger, something real. The lights of the city twinkled below, each one a possibility, a choice, a chance. She smiled. Then she did something brave. She picked up her phone, texted West. Are you still awake? His response was immediate. Always for you. Everything okay? Yes, better than okay. Can I ask you something? Anything. She took a breath, typed the words before fear could stop her. Did you mean it? About loving me? About waiting? About all of it? The 3 dots appeared. Disappeared. Appeared again. She could imagine him on the other end, choosing his words carefully, making sure they were right. Every word. I meant every word. Even though I am scared, even though I might need time, even though I am still figuring out who I am without Derek, especially because of all of that. Charlie, I do not need you to be perfect. I do not need you to have it all figured out. I just need you to be honest, to communicate, to tell me when you are scared or overwhelmed or need space. Can you do that? I think so. I can try. That is all I ask. Just try. We will figure out the rest together. She stared at the words, at the simplicity, at the offer of partnership instead of dominance, of collaboration instead of control. I'm falling for you too, she typed. Have been for weeks, maybe since that first coffee. I was just too scared to admit it, too worried about getting it wrong again, too afraid of trusting my own judgment. Your judgment is good, Charlie. Derek was just really good at manipulation, at making you doubt yourself. That was his skill, his weapon, not your failure. The words landed. True, real, freeing. They texted for another hour. About everything, about nothing, about hopes and fears in the future they might build together, about taking it slow, about being honest, about choosing each other every day instead of just once. Finally, at 2 in the morning, West wrote, you should sleep. Big day tomorrow. Probably a dozen interview requests, multiple client inquiries. Your phone is going to be ringing off the hook. How do you know? Because that is what happens when someone does brilliant work and gets recognized for it. The world notices, opportunities appear, doors open. Get some rest. Call me tomorrow or the next day or whenever you are ready. I am not going anywhere. Promise? Promise, I say. Charlie fell asleep with her phone in her hand, smiling, hopeful, free. 3 months later, the coffee shop 2 blocks from her apartment had become their place. Every Saturday morning, sometimes Sunday too, occasionally weeknights when Wes was in town and Charlie needed a break from work. Their corner table was unofficially reserved. The barista knew their orders, made Wes' espresso exactly right, made Charlie's latte with the perfect amount of foam. "Tell me about the new campaign," Wes said. Saturday morning, rain outside, cozy inside. Perfect. Charlie pulled out her laptop, showed him the mock-ups, the strategy, the narrative arc she had developed. "It is about second chances," she said, "about people who were told they were not smart enough, not young enough, not whatever enough, but who are learning anyway, growing anyway, becoming anyway." "It is brilliant. It is personal," she admitted. "Very personal. Maybe too personal. There is no such thing as too personal in good marketing. Personal is what connects, what makes people care, what drives donations." She had learned to trust his feedback, to see it as collaboration instead of criticism, to understand that questions were not attacks, that suggestions were not demands, that partnership meant both people contributing. They had been dating officially for 2 months, taking it slow, coffee, dinners, long walks, one weekend trip to the coast, separate hotel rooms, no pressure, no rush, just building trust, building foundation, building something real. Charlie had introduced him to her mother. Eleanor had liked him immediately. "He listens when you talk. That is rare, important. Keep that one." Rachel had grilled him over dinner, asked pointed questions about his intentions, his past, his views on marriage and children, and whether he thought women should change their names. He had answered honestly, patiently, without getting defensive. "He is good people," Rachel had pronounced. "Something like Derek. You can trust him." Trust was still hard. Charlie still woke up sometimes at 3 a.m. with panic in her chest. Still Googled things like how to know if a relationship is healthy and signs someone really loves you. Still doubted, still feared, still waited for the other shoe to drop. But West was patient, consistent, reliable. He did what he said he would do, showed up when he said he would show up, communicated clearly, apologized when he was wrong, listened when she was scared. Slowly, carefully, incrementally, Charlie was learning to trust again. Not perfectly, not completely, but enough. Enough to keep showing up, enough to keep trying, enough to keep choosing hope over fear. Derek had disappeared from their social circles. The foundation had removed him from the board, quietly, professionally, without drama. His engagement to Victoria had ended. She had found out about another assistant, younger, newer, shinier. The cycle continued without Charlie, and she felt nothing. No satisfaction, no vindication, no anger. Just relief that it was no longer her problem, no longer her pain, no longer her life. "I have something to ask you," Wes said, setting down his espresso, looking nervous, actually nervous. Wes Westbrook, billionaire, confident, self-assured, nervous. "Okay." Charlie closed her laptop, gave him her full attention. "Move in with me." The words landed. Big, scary, exciting, overwhelming. "What?" "Move in with me. Not full-time, not yet, but keep some things at my place. Stay over more than just weekends. Let us see what living together is like without the pressure of giving up your apartment, without the commitment of full cohabitation. Just more. More time. More life. More us." Charlie thought about it. The fear rose immediately. Moving in with Derek had meant losing herself, becoming who he wanted, following his rules, his schedule, his vision. But West was not Derek. "I need to keep my apartment," she said. "For now, I need to know I have my own space, my own place to go if I need it." "Absolutely. Keep your apartment. Keep your independence. Keep your autonomy. I am not asking you to give anything up. Just asking you to add something. Add me. Add us. Add the possibility of building a life together. What if I mess it up? You will. I will too. We will both mess it up sometimes. That is what people do. But we will also apologize. learn, grow, figure it out together. That is what partners do. Partners, not owner and possession, not dominant and submissive. Partners. Okay, she said. Let us try it, but slowly. A few nights a week, then more. Then we will see. West's smile could have powered the city. Yeah, yeah. He reached across the table, took her hand. Thank you for trusting me, for being brave, for giving us a chance. Thank you for being patient, for waiting, for seeing me. They sat there, hands linked, coffee cooling, rain falling, future unfolding. 6 months later, Charlie stood in front of 600 people. Same venue, different gala. Her presentation on the screen behind her. Heart pounding, palms sweating, but ready, so ready. Every child deserves their story, she said. Last year, we asked you to help children learn to read. You responded beautifully. Donations increased 35%. Lives were changed, futures were opened. Thank you. She clicked to the next slide, images of adults in classrooms, learning, growing, becoming. This year, we are expanding our mission because children are not the only ones who deserve their story. Adults do too. Adults who were told they were not smart enough, who dropped out, who fell through the cracks, who are starting over, who are rebuilding, who are becoming who they were always meant to be. The room was silent, listening, engaged, caring. Our new campaign is called Never Too Late because it is never too late to learn, never too late to grow, never too late to change your story, never too late to become something more than what someone else told you that you were. She clicked through slides, statistics, testimonials, plans, projections. Last year, you helped us increase donations by 35%. This year, I am asking you to help us double that, not just financially, but with your time, your expertise, your belief that people can change, that second chances matter, that stories do not end when someone says they do. The applause started, grew, filled the ballroom, people standing, clapping, believing. Derek was not there, would never be there again. That chapter closed, that story over. Wes sat in the front row, watching, smiling, proud. Diane Ashford beside him. She had become an unlikely friend, a mentor, a mother figure who actually saw Charlie as a person instead of an accessory to her son. Rachel was there too, her mother. Marcus Callahan, the foundation director, board members, donors, people who saw her, who valued her, who knew she was not nothing, had never been nothing. The presentation ended to thunderous applause, standing ovation, real recognition for real work. Afterwards, corporations lined up, foundations, museums, hospitals, organizations that needed someone who understood narrative, who could move people, who could create campaigns that worked. Business cards filled her clutch. Opportunities multiplied. Doors opened. You were incredible, Wes said. Found her in the crowd, pulled her aside, kissed her softly. Right there, in front of everyone. Not hiding, not ashamed, just honest, real, true. I was terrified. You were brilliant. Same thing, she said, but smiling, knowing, accepting the compliment instead of deflecting it. Someone took a photo. It would end up in the society pages again. Marketing executive Charlotte Bennett and venture capitalist Wes Westbrook at Literacy Foundation Gala. Her own identity, her own achievements, her own story. They left the gala together, drove to the penthouse, the home they now shared most nights. Her apartment still there, still hers, but used less, needed less, a safety net that might become unnecessary, but was still comforting to have. The penthouse felt like home now, her books mixed with his, her art on the walls, her mess integrated with his organization. Two lives blending, two people building something together. I am proud of you, Wes said. Later, on the balcony, city lights below. Not just for tonight, for everything, for rebuilding, for being brave, for choosing hope. I am proud of me too, Charlie said, and meant it, really meant it. For the first time in my life, I am actually proud of who I am. Not who I am becoming, not who I might be someday, who I am right now. Messy, imperfect, still healing, but proud. You should be. They stood there, the city below, the stars above, the future ahead. Can I ask you something? Charlie said. Always. Do you ever think about marriage, about the future, about where this is going? West was quiet for a moment, thoughtful. When he spoke, his voice was honest. Every day, I think about it every day, about marrying you, about building a life together, about children maybe, adoption, foster care, giving back the way we were both given to, about growing old together, about being partners in everything, not just romance, but business, life, purpose, all of it. That is a lot. It is. And if it is too much, if you need more time, I understand. We have all the time in the world. Charlie thought about Derek, how marriage with him had meant losing herself, becoming smaller, fitting into his vision, following his rules. This felt different. This felt like expansion, like becoming more, like partnership instead of possession. I think about it too, she admitted, about marriage, about the future, about us, and it terrifies me, but it also excites me, makes me hopeful, makes me believe that maybe, just maybe, I can have the life I always wanted, the partnership I always needed, the love I always deserved. You can, you will, we will, together. Not yet though, not soon. I still need time. Then take time, take all the time you need. I am not going anywhere. Promise? Promise. They stood there, hands linked, hearts open, future unfolding. 1 year later, West proposed on the terrace. The same terrace where they had first really talked, where she had confronted Derek, where everything had changed. It was not a surprise. They had talked about it, planned it, agreed they were ready, but the moment was still perfect, still magical, still everything. Charlotte Bennett, he said, down on one knee, ring in hand, simple, elegant, exactly what she would have chosen. Will you marry me? Will you build a life with me? Will you be my partner in everything? Yes, she said, no hesitation, no fear, just certainty. Yes, absolutely yes. They married 6 months later. Small ceremony, intimate, just family and close friends. Rachel as maid of honor. West's business partner as best man. Diane Ashford came, hugged Charlie, whispered, I am so glad you found someone who sees you, who values you, who knows how lucky he is. Derek was not invited, sent a gift anyway, expensive, impersonal. A crystal vase they donated to a women's shelter auction. The wedding was perfect, not because everything went right. The cake was late, the flowers were the wrong color. It rained during photos, but perfect because it was theirs, their choices, their style, their love. Eleanor cried during the vows, happy tears, proud tears, her daughter rebuilding, choosing love again, being brave. Charlie wore a dress she chose, simple, ivory, nothing like the elaborate gown she had worn to marry Derek. This dress was her, comfortable, beautiful, real. Wes cried when he saw her, actual tears, not ashamed, not hiding, just overwhelmed by the moment, by the love, by the woman walking toward him, choosing him just as he chose her. The vows were personal, written together, promises about communication, honesty, partnership, about choosing each other every day, about being patient during hard times, about celebrating during good times, about building something that honored them both. I promise to see you, Zane. Honor Macfahim, West said, even on the days you cannot see yourself, especially on those days. I promise to listen, to value your voice, to treat you as an equal partner in all things. I promise to love you not for who I want you to be, but for who you are and who you are becoming. Charlie's vows were equally personal, equally true. I promise to be brave, she said, to trust you even when fear tells me not to communicate even when it is hard, to choose us even when it would be easier to run. I promise to value myself enough to demand respect, to love myself enough to accept love, to believe I am worthy of partnership, of care, of everything you offer. When they kissed, the room erupted. Applause, cheers, wah wah joy. They were married partners, equals, building something real. 2 years later, Charlie's company had grown. 20 employees now, major clients, national recognition. She had been featured in Forbes, named one of the top marketing executives in the country. Her campaigns had won awards, increased donations for dozens of nonprofits, changed how organizations talked about their missions. The Never Too Late campaign had become a movement. Adult literacy programs in 15 states. Thousands of lives changed. Stories rewritten. West's company had grown too, but he traveled less, prioritized differently, made time for life, for her, for them, for the foster children they were in the process of adopting. 2 kids, brother and sister, ages 8 and 10, removed from an unsafe home, in need of stability, love, someone to believe in them. Charlie and West had gone through months of training, home studies, background checks, interviews. The process was long, difficult, sometimes frustrating, but worth it. So worth it. The day the kids moved in was chaotic. Boxes everywhere. Tears, laughter, fear, hope, everything all at once. The girl, Emma, was quiet, watchful, protective of her brother. The boy, Lucas, was angry, hurt, lashing out because it felt safer than letting people in. Charlie understood, had been both at different times, the quiet, watchful one, the angry, hurt one, the one rebuilding, the one becoming. It is okay to be scared, she told Emma that first night, tucking her into bed in her new room. It is okay to not trust us yet. It is okay to wait and see if we mean what we say. I understand. I have been scared too. I have had to learn to trust again. It takes time, and that is okay. Emma's eyes filled with tears. What if you change your mind? What if you decide we are too much trouble? What if you send us back? We will not change our minds, Charlie said. We chose you. We wanted you. We are committed to you. Will there be hard days? Yes. Will we all mess up sometimes? Absolutely. But we will not give up on you. That is what family means. Lucas was harder, angrier. He tested every boundary, broke rules deliberately, waited to be rejected. Wes was patient, firm but kind, consistent, reliable. Everything Lucas needed even when Lucas could not admit it. 3 months in, Lucas had a meltdown, destroyed his room, threw things, screamed that he hated them, hated this house, wanted to leave. Wes sat outside his door, did not force his way in, did not demand compliance, just sat there, waiting, present. After an hour, Lucas opened the door, red-eyed, exhausted. I am sorry, he whispered. I know. It is okay to be angry. It is okay to have big feelings, but we need to find better ways to express them. Want to talk about it? Lucas shook his head, but he sat down next to West, let West put an arm around him, cried into West's shoulder. They were building trust, building family, building something real. It was messy, hard, sometimes overwhelming, but also beautiful, meaningful, worth every difficult moment. 3 years after the wedding, Charlie stood at the window. The penthouse window, city lights below, same view she had looked at that first night after confronting Derek. But everything different, everything better, everything real. Wes found her there, wrapped his arms around her from behind, rested his chin on her shoulder. What are you thinking about? He asked. About how far I have come, about who I was 5 years ago, about Derek calling me nothing. Regrets? No, gratitude. Because if he had not called me nothing, I might never have proven to myself that I was something. If he had not been cruel, I might never have found kind. If he had not made me feel small, I might never have learned to take up space. You were always something, Wes said. You just needed to believe it. I believe it now. I believe it in my bones, in my heart, in every part of me that Derek tried to break. I am Charlotte Bennett Westbrook, 40 years old, CEO of my own marketing firm, wife, mother, board member of multiple foundations, woman who was called nothing and became everything. Not because of me. Trying, sitting, West said. Because of you, I just got to watch. Got lucky enough to be part of your story. We are lucky to be part of each other's stories. From down the hall, they heard laughter. Emma and Lucas, fighting over a board game. Normal sibling stuff. Beautiful normal. They are doing well, Shirley said. They are. Emma Mouse played honor roll. Lucas tried out for the basketball team. They are healing, becoming, just like you. Charlie thought about the foundation gala where this had all started, where Derek had called her nothing, where West had first shown interest, where everything had changed. 5 years ago, she had been broken, lost, believing she was nothing. Now she knew the truth. She had never been nothing. She had just been with someone who needed her to be nothing so he could feel like everything. But she was something, had always been something, talented, smart, capable, worthy of love, worthy of respect, worthy of partnership. Derek had been wrong about her, about love, about what mattered, and she had been brave enough to rebuild, smart enough to recognize real love when it showed up, strong enough to choose hope over fear. The journey had not been easy, had required therapy, hard conversations, moments of doubt, times when she wanted to run, times when fear almost won. But she had kept showing up, kept choosing love, kept building trust, kept becoming who she was meant to be. And now, standing in her home with her husband and her children and her life fully lived, she understood something fundamental. She had never needed West to save her. She had saved herself. West had just been wise enough to see her value when she could not see it herself, patient enough to wait while she healed, brave enough to love her through the mess of becoming. "Thank you," she said, turning in his arms to face him, "for seeing me, for waiting, for loving me through all of it. Thank you for letting me, for being brave enough to try again, for building this life with me." They stood there, the city below, the children laughing, the future bright and open in theirs. Charlie thought about Derek one last time, wondered where he was, who he was hurting now, if he ever understood what he had lost. Then she let it go. Let him go. Let the past be past. Because her story was not about Derek anymore, was not about what he had taken, or what he had broken, or what he had called her. Her story was about rebuilding, about choosing love, about becoming who she was always meant to be. She was Charlotte Bennett Westbrook, and she was enough. Had always been enough, would always be enough, not nothing, never nothing, everything. Charlotte's story did not end at nothing. It began there. If her journey from that bathroom floor at 3 a.m. to a penthouse overlooking the city touched something in you, do me a favor. Hit that like button, not for me. For every woman who has ever been called nothing by someone who should have cherished her. Drop a comment and tell me, have you ever had your own nothing moment? That point where someone's cruelty became your turning point? I read every single comment. Your stories matter. You matter. And if you know someone who needs to hear that it is never too late to rebuild, that 35 is not too old to start over, that being called nothing does not make you nothing, share this story with them. Text it, post it, send it to that friend who is still sitting in her car at 2 a.m. unable to go inside. Subscribe to this channel if you want more stories about women who refuse to stay broken, who chose hope over fear, who became everything despite being called nothing. Because here is the truth Derek never understood. You were never nothing. You just needed someone to see you. And sometimes that someone is yourself. Thank you for listening to Charlotte's story. Now go write your own next chapter. You deserve it.